Hello, everybody, and good morning. Welcome to the Top Producer Show. So our mission is to educate, equip, and train servant leaders. Our vision is to create financially independent achievers, and our purpose is to help people grow. And right now we're going over the book Think and Grow Rich. Almost lost it there. That is why we have coffee. So we're finishing up the book Think and Grow Rich today, and then we will be announcing which book we are going to be going over next at the end of the show. So before we jump into this last chapter, we're going to go ahead and invite some people onto here. And it is Friday.
Saturday. Tomorrow's Saturday.
Yep. She just wants to be part of the show. She has to have attention all the time.
Yeah. She's like, I'm a top producer. I'm Al. Miss Cratch.
She thinks she is. She thinks she runs the household.
She does.
She does. She really does. It's ridiculous. All right.
Okay, so today we are on the last chapter. First of all, David Roeder, what's happening? How are things? I saw one of your LinkedIn posts yesterday. Actually, it was really good. It was going over like the top 10 ways to make six figures or something. Maybe it was the top 20. I don't know. Hold on, I'm just trying to expand this. Oh wow, it's in like one font. Blow this up a little bit so I can see it. Okay, so today, chapter 14, which is the last chapter of the book Think and Grow Rich. So this is the last day of Think and Grow Rich. We're going to be hitting a new book on Monday, which I'm actually really excited about. Something that I've wanted to do for a while. Chance Brown is here. What's up, sir? So let's just kind of roll through this really quick. Desire. What is the system provided? That's what the system. That's what the system provided. I gotcha. So you're just taking their pre-done post. Gotcha. It was good. I liked it. So the desire is the number one step towards riches. Then you have faith. Autosuggestion is third. Fourth is specialized knowledge. Fifth is organized planning. Sixth is imagination. 7 is decision. 8 is persistence. 9 is the power of the mastermind. 10 is sex transmutation. 11 is the subconscious mind. 12 is the brain. And today we're going to talk about the sixth sense. The sixth sense is the 13th step towards riches. This is flashes, or we all have hunches, and sometimes it's, that kind of inspiration that we will get from time to time from just being out there doing what we're doing. This principle is an apex of philosophy.
Sorry about that.
Brandy's trying to pull up so that way she can answer people back. It can only be understood by someone who has mastered the other 12 principles. So it happens to all of us, but it's like if you master these other principles, you'll start understanding the stuff that's coming at you. Through the aid of the sixth sense, you will be warned of impending dangers in time to avoid them, and notified of opportunities in time to embrace them. So I was reading a book about Stephen Hayes. Stephen Hayes was, quote unquote, the first American ninja, literally, that anyone knows about. That was written down. He was supposedly one of the first Americans ever to see the actual ninja scrolls, the Japanese scrolls that originally the whole philosophy was written about ninjas, like literally ninjas, like the Chinese stars, swords, everything like that. Very different than what we see in the movies, but talking about the sixth sense. through his training, one night they went out on a quote-unquote hike, and the goal was to be silent, to be a ninja, right? That kind of makes sense. And they're walking through the woods, and all of a sudden he steps in water and splashes the water. And the guy's like, why did you step in the water? And he's like, well, I didn't know it was there. You can't see anything. He goes, you should have sensed it because of the training you have. And he goes, because they're trained to start to be aware of the wind, to be aware of how things rustle, and they spend a lot of time outside listening. He's like, you should have had the ability to hear it and to smell it. So again, talking about using all of these senses that we have, and the sixth sense is you should have anticipated it being there because it has a different vibration. I don't know why that popped into my head at this point, but I thought it was really interesting, and that is exactly what they're talking about with the sixth sense. Now, most of us have had that same kind of thing. You've been walking down a dark hall, and all of a sudden you stop for no reason. Why? Because a door was open, or because something was left out, and just because you maybe are not focused on anything, or maybe you're totally focused on something else, that sixth sense kicks in, and it's actually the vibration coming off of something. So this says you'll be able to avoid, bad things. You'll be able to avoid disasters. There comes to you an aid at your bidding with the development of the sixth sense, almost like a guardian angel that will open up to you and open these doors to temples of wisdom. Ability to use great power comes slowly. Although anticipation of other principles in this book. So some of the principles you can learn pretty fast. This one, they said, takes time. You can only profit by it without understanding the principles of this chapter, the 6 ghosts of fear. Take advantage of yourself as you read the closing chapter and find out how many ghosts are standing in your way. Before you can put any portion of the philosophy into successful use, your mind must be prepared to receive it. The prep is not difficult. It begins with study, analysis, and understanding of the 3 enemies which you have to clear out: indecision, doubt, and fear. Indecision, the ability to make a decision and go. Doubt, which is basically fear coming at you. Doubt is using faith to create a false situation that you're not going to make it. And then fear is, again, imagination kicking into overdrive, giving you all the different scenarios of why you're not going to work. The sixth sense will never function while these 3 negatives, or any of them, remain in your mind. If you find that one of these evils, you usually find the other 2. Indecision is the seed of all doubt and fear. Indecision crystallizes into doubt, and the 2 blend to become fear. The purpose of this chapter is to basically spotlight an attention upon the cause, bless you, and the cure of the 6 basic fears. Before you can master any enemy, we must know it by name, its habits, and its place of abode, place of origin. He wrote it like 150 years ago, so there's words, it's long enough that there's words that you don't even use. And by the way, if you're reading Think and Grow Rich, I would suggest the updated modern version, because he uses a lot of the there, out, and thou, and on this, that day. I mean, it's old English language. Great, but also more difficult. Like, I bought this book 3 or 4 times trying to read it. I read like the first chapter. I'm like, what the hell did I just read? I couldn't remember any of it because of the way that it was written. So it took, a friend of mine had like the modern updated version. So it was just kind of spelled out in English today. So much more easier to read. You can also listen to it. I mean, Napoleon Hill, I think, recorded going over this. So as we go over the following, carefully determine which of any of these 6 fears are attached themselves to you. Sometimes they remain hidden in the subconscious mind, where they're difficult to locate and difficult to eliminate. Here are the 6 fears, named in the order of their most common appearance. The fear of poverty. I'm always going to be poor. I'm not going to have enough. You hear this come out. I'm just trying to get by. I just want to be comfortable. Like, if you're building a business and you're like, well, I'm only doing this just to be comfortable, you're fucked right off the bat. And you don't realize, people don't realize how screwed they are. But there's certain things that people repeat out loud that you can hear. YouTube has it for free as well. You can actually hear these things come out of people's mouths, and they're actually these fears. That's why truly successful people can listen to somebody and 2 or 3 minutes be able to pick these out because of certain little phrases that come out of people's mouths that are really their subconscious mind dominating their thoughts and activities. The fear of criticism. I want to do it, but, so-and-so, and then so-and-so, and then so-and-so, always having somebody that's going to say something or do something. The fear of ill health. That's kind of like the doomsday, well, no matter what I do, everybody in my family's been, sick. This just runs in my family. I'm like, actually, nobody runs in your family is the problem. And not just running, but, nobody's healthy. People are like, it's genetic. I'm like, yeah, it's genetic. Everybody eats the same shit. That's part of the problem. Jordan, hello. So the fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of health. Those are the, big three. You also have the fear of loss of a loved one. The fear of detachment. A lot of times this is abandonment. People who, wanted their whole life to be close to somebody and couldn't figure it out. A lot of times this comes from abuse. There's alcoholism and emotional and sexual abuse that happen to people at a young age. It gets implanted in their subconscious mind, and then later they try to go out and do something, and it just stops everything they do. By the way, it's a lot more common. Those things are a lot more common than people actually know. I heard a statistic from a psychologist that I actually know was a client worked with. 77% of females crossing the border, the southern border of the United States, are coming across and have been sexually abused. 77% by statistic of the ones they interviewed and got the information from. So if you wonder why there's some of the problems that are out there, that's probably part of it. I'd be mean too. 2, the fear of old age. Some people are like, oh, no matter what I do, I'm going to get old. I'm going to forget. No matter what I do, I'm going to get old. And then you have people who are, 3,000 years old. It seems like I was just reading about centurions, and there's certain places in the world, like Peru and like Pakistan. There's a place in China where the average age is over 80 for certain, towns. And they have, I think the one town has over 100 people that are over 100 years old. So, it has more to do with taking care of yourself. There's a guy who wrote a book about it, about living longer. It's called Dead Doctors Don't Lie. Really good book. In the beginning of it, he talks about centurions. And then you have the fear of death. Oh my God, no matter what I'm going to do, I'm going to have an accident. Somebody's going to get me. So that's these are the 6 fears, things that people focus on that will not allow them to move forward. You've got the fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of ill health, the fear of loss of a loved one, the fear of old age, the fear of death. All other fears end up somewhere underneath these 6 titles. Fears are nothing more than states of mind. It's a process of thought. Thought impulses, which are picked up by mere chance, may determine one's financial, business, professional, social relationships, just as surely as the thought impulses which create intent and design. The fear of poverty. 2 roads that lead to poverty and there are 2 roads, one that leads to poverty, one that leads to riches. They travel in opposite directions. If you want riches, you must refuse to accept any circumstances that lead towards poverty. If you demand riches, if you demand what form and how much will be required to satisfy you, and then you're willing to do whatever it takes and, focus on it, you now know the road that leads to riches. A state of mind is something one assumes. So a state of mind is a choice. It's a choice. A lot of people are like, well, you have to understand, I just don't feel like it sometimes. I'm like, bullshit. You are the one choosing that. Now, with that being said, I understand that sometimes there is a chemical imbalance. We're talking about people who have the right chemistry, right? Other than the fact that they're whipping themselves into shape, out of shape. Now, there are people who use substances that mess it up as well. So they also talk about, in other books, if you want to have the right state of mind, Tony Robbins talks about it. If you want to have the right state of mind, there's certain things you have to do to the body to keep the body in an ideal state that will allow you to sustain that state naturally versus a stimulant. Now, I have ADHD, so yes, I'm drinking caffeine and vitamin B. I do a lot of vitamins. It sounds like I'm going to say I do a lot of drugs. I do a lot of vitamins, different stuff based on, what I'm trying to get done for the day. Because Brandy and I work out 7 days a week, 365 days a year, with probably, I don't know, since we've known each other, how many days do you think we've taken off more than 2 weeks?
No, I think we've only ever taken off a week once, and that was when we were redoing the entire place of our holistic health business. It used to be a real estate company, and we were completely tearing stuff out, and we only had a week to get it done. So that was the only time where we took a week, but usually we never go more than a day if we do have to miss.
And what I'm talking about is 2 weeks. I mean, let's just call it, it's definitely less than 3 weeks in the 7 years, 6 years. 6 years going on 7 that we've known each other. The consistency is there. So, know which road leads to riches, most destructive. Okay. It cannot be purchased or created. Okay, so it's a state of mind that one assumes, fear of poverty, fear of success. The most destructive fear, the fear of poverty, is a state of mind, nothing else, It's your surroundings, it's what you're familiar with, it's the shitty people that keep telling you can't make it, etc., etc. If you're around a bunch of people that are constantly nobody needs to be rich, you just, you got to be happy with what you have, the root of all evil is money. I love people who quote the Bible that have no idea what the hell they're talking about. I want to punch these people in the throat, I'll be real honest. You start quoting the Bible around me, out of context, have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, do not be within range of me. That's all I can say. And I've got about a 10-foot range, from martial art training. Fear of poverty is a state of mind, nothing else, but it alone can stop you from achieving riches. Fear of paralysis, the faculty of reason. Destroy the faculty of imagination, kills self-resilience, undermines enthusiasm, discourages initiative. It's supposed to be initiative, not initiative. Initiative leads to uncertainty of purpose, encourages procrastination, wipes out enthusiasm, and makes self-control an impossibility. So by the way, when I have to put my notes together, I'm reading through the book, I pull out all the notes and kind of reorganize everything. So these are my notes that I wrote probably too fast. Fear of poverty is, without a doubt, the most destructive of the 6 fears. Didn't we talk about that? Nothing brings a man so much suffering and humility and poverty. Symptoms of fear of poverty: indifference, expressed through lack of ambition, willing to tolerate poverty, acceptance in whatever compensation of life you may offer without protest. Think about that, without protest. Okay, I'm here, but I'm not happy. I'm here, but I'm not staying here. Here's the thing. You can be happy in the struggle. You can be happy in the struggle. Most of life is overcoming, right? Most of life is uphill, as John Maxwell said. The best life is always uphill. The best life. Growing is somewhat a struggle, not necessarily from poverty, but growing out of poverty can be a great thing. You can have a positive every single day. You can do it with the right attitude. But what he's saying, if you're willing to tolerate poverty, acceptance of whatever compensation life may offer without protest, here's the thing. You can doctor it up, decorate it, make everything. I've seen people eat fast food, but the way in which they eat fast food, they're not eating it at the car and throwing shit on the floor, and their car's a mess, and they're dribbling it down their face, and it's all over the place, versus coming home and setting the table, and you can dress it up as much as possible. You can dress it up with paper plates, or you can dress it up with china. It's totally up to you. It's just the life that you live. You can live frugally and be, and be professional and attract riches is kind of what he's talking about. But I thought it was funny, without protest. So when people are around you and they start talking negative, you have to be like, look, I don't mean to be mean, but you need to shut the hell up. Because I'm not interested in that type of thought. I'm not interested in, your current situation. It's just not going to happen. Now, if somebody says, hey, can you talk to me? And they start telling you something, that's different. I'm just talking about general conversation, that people just drop all these negative, crap out of their head. Mental and physical laziness. This is a big one. Mental and physical laziness. I just can't get motivated. What did you do yesterday? I sat on the couch. What did you do the day before? I sat on the couch. This COVID thing has really got me down. I'm like, your fat ass wasn't moving before, you were attached to your couch before. The best two things that I can tell you to do is burn your lazy boy in your couch. Mm-hmm. Burn your lazy, we don't own, I say we do now, but when I was flipping houses, I didn't have a couch.
Actually, we didn't have a TV for 5 years. We had a TV at our office, but we didn't own.
We didn't have a living room TV.
Yeah, we didn't have a living room TV, and people would always ask. They're like, "Oh, have you seen this latest show? Have you seen this? Have you seen that?" And we're like, "No." And with how much time people waste on TV and the habits that you learn from TV, we were like, you know what? We really don't want to have that. We're like, there's so many other things we want to get done, and we don't want to have the brainwashing of what society wants us to think like. Because the more you watch that stuff, the more you're being programmed of how you're supposed to think. And when you get away from it, you'll start to hear it. Because it comes out in people's conversations. You'll start to hear the mindset of, I'm not supposed to want more. I'm not supposed to have better. It's blame, 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 but it's not get better. And it's always rely on somebody else or rely on the government. It's never something where it's not designed to give you the mindset to get yourself out. So we decided not to have it. But anywho.
So, mental and physical laziness, lack of initiative, imagination, enthusiasm, and self-control. Indecision, on the fence, consistently doubt, lies and excuses about why they can't do something, that comes out. Worry, spending beyond one's income, neglect of personal appearance, bad attitude, medication / alternative medication takers, overcaution, always looking for the negative. Thinking and talking about what if it does not work. Well, here's what's going to happen if it doesn't work. It never works. Knowing all the ways that it's going to fail. Procrastination, putting things off till tomorrow. Willingness to compromise rather than put up a fight. Symptoms of fear of criticism. Self-conscious, nervous, awkward, timid. Lack of poise, so you don't have any. Basically, they're talking about self-confidence, right? Lack of poise, voice control, poor body posture. You typically will find people who are financially suffering, moping. Mm-hmm. And, things are bad. I mean, just look at Winnie the Pooh. You can kind of derive. Winnie the Pooh, for those of you who don't know, was actually written about an insane asylum. And it's the different personalities inside the insane asylum. Christopher Robin is the counselor. I've told that to people, and people are like, that was my favorite show until you told me that. I don't mean, I'm not saying it as a negative. I'm just saying that is what it is. If you think about it, each one of them has, they were kind of trying to express the dominant, disorders that are out there. Worry, anxiety, passive aggressive, forgetfulness, down to, they're all there.
Fearful.
If you look fearful, if you all look for them. And it's a really good one, but you'll find people, tend to mimic those characters when they have, some of these issues like lack of self-confidence, lack of poise, personality, lack of firmness of decision, personal charm, habit of sidestepping issues, not following through, inferiority complex, using big words to impress people, boasting, imaginary. Typically what it is people they're just scared, I learned this from John Maxwell, hurt people. So if you kind of look out for that, there are certain people that constantly are out lashing out at people. It's probably because they have been hurt. So I take that, with a grain of salt. I try to look into it. I try to ask questions and try to figure out what's going on. Typically, I don't react to any of their stuff, but I will bring it up at the appropriate time. And that's the key. It's like bringing some of this up at the appropriate time. If somebody's whipped themselves into a frenzy and they're in a heightened state of misery, that's probably not the time to talk to them. You want to talk to them at another time. Sometimes it's good to tape them, though. Like, yeah, I've got a videotape that we need to go look at. Inferiority complex. Big words. Yeah. Extravagance. Keeping up with the Joneses. People who are always trying to buy something to impress people versus, just getting stuff that they like. Lack of initiative. Failure to go after it. Failure to do it. Failure to go through. So, is that it? Yes. Sorry, I was looking for a specific 1, 5, 10, 9. Yep, lack of initiative, failure to do it. So that is Think and Grow Rich. That is the 13 steps. And again, the 13 steps towards riches. And they said you should actually go over this book over and over and over again. Bob Proctor has gone over this book every single month for 40 years. Mm-hmm. If you look at his wealth, if you look at his success, it's there. That guy's magnetic. I mean, he is super positive, super into what he's doing. He's accomplishing his goals. And really, it's something that anybody can do, right? Anybody can do this if you want to do it. So you have desire, number 1, knowing exactly what you want. They said it's a white hot burning desire, something that keeps you up late at night and wakes you up first thing in the morning. The problem is a lot of us have this desire. The issue is we have all this other junk that's confusing us or distracting us that won't allow us to focus on it. Second is faith. The ability to believe it's going to happen. Faith is using your imagination along with emotion to actually create a picture of where you're going to be in the future. Another way to put this is vision. Vision, having a vision of what's going to happen in the future. Auto-suggestion, telling yourself that it's going to happen. I know what I want. I have a vision of what I want. I'm telling myself I'm going to get what I want. Then there's specialized knowledge. I'm going to go master. I'm going to go study. I'm going to go dominate inside of the industry that I'm in, whether that be real estate or insurance or, direct sales or network marketing or MLM or affiliate marketing, whatever you're going to do. Now, here's the thing. You're not going to dominate driving around. You're not going to dominate in retail, working in retail. You're not going to dominate the fast food industry if you're the cashier. Now, you want to do the best you can while you're there, but you have to be in an industry that can create wealth. A common philosophy right now is well, I'm going to bitch, whine, and cry because I'm not making enough money, putting the lid on these bottles. Well, that's because there's no value in putting the lid on the bottle. We can get anybody to do that. There is no specialized knowledge. And where there is no specialized knowledge, there is no income. It doesn't take any specialized knowledge to drive around. Look at how many people have a license who shouldn't be on the road, right? Organization, planning, imagination, decision, the ability to make a decision and stick with it. Persistence, being able to do it when things are hard, when things are tough, when other people come at you, when health issues, blah, blah, blah. The mastermind, being around other people who get it, being around it, that's the purpose of the events inside of direct sales, inside of network marketing. That's the purpose of the Monday morning meeting. If you're in a sales organization, that's the purpose of the meeting. Grant Cardone works with people every single morning. 2 weeks they want to raise in promotion. Yeah. I've worked here at least 4 days. Why am I not making what the guy who knows absolutely everything knows? So the mastermind, sex transmutation, using desire, to basically fuel the activities that you should be doing instead of what you should be doing. The subconscious mind, the brain, and then the sixth sense. The sixth sense kicks in once you've figured a lot of this out. Because once you're so focused on something, what happens is you have the ability to basically shield all the other stuff that's coming at you, and you'll be able to see stuff you've never been able to see before. And it does happen, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who was trying to recruit somebody, and he's like, basically, I got down to, I went through this process that we have for recruiting. He goes, I got down to where they're like, I'm ready. I want to do this. And he goes, right away, I asked, okay, well, let's get online and let's get this done. And I was like, okay, you went for the close. That's good. But let's think through this from their point of view. You went right for it. How long have you known this person? Well, only like 3 days. I texted them the first day and said, are you looking? They said yes. I text them back and say, do you qualify based on these questions? Can you answer yes? And they text back yes. I then sent them the presentation. They read through it and said they wanted more information. I got them more information. Then I got them on the phone, talked to them about it. They said, call me tomorrow. And then I just had this conversation and they're like, yeah, I actually do need this. It's something I want to do. And I said, and then you just went for it, right? Yeah. Let's look at it from their perspective. They've only known you for 3 days. I said, what is the obvious? What is the absolute obvious from their point of view? And it took a second, but he got it. He's like, well, they don't know me. I was like, exactly, they don't know you. So they don't know you, and you're going right for their pocketbook, right for their money. I said, here would be another way to do that and say, look, state the obvious. State the obvious. Hey, I know we don't know each other, and you wouldn't know me from anybody else walking down the street. Let's get on a Zoom, or let's get on a free conference call, or let's get on a go-to meeting where we can actually see each other face to face, and we'll talk about getting started, and we can fill everything out or do whatever we need to do. Now, because you stated the obvious, because you stated the fact that it was weird, because you stated the fact that you guys have only known each other for a short time and you haven't seen each other face to face. If they then say, oh, no, I don't want to get online. Well, I could do this right over the phone if it's okay with you. But because you stated the obvious, you now have broken through that barrier. And they were pissed that, they didn't say, but here's the thing. Why would I have seen that and not that person? I said, well, I have 10 years of doing this and you don't have those 10 years. Like there's nothing special. Well, it is kind of, special that it took me 10 years to figure it out. That's definitely special. But it took me a long time to figure this out. But anybody can figure it out if you're in the game that long. You start picking up this other stuff. Just like if you don't have what you're talking about memorized. If you don't have what you're talking about memorized, what happens is all of your energy and all of your effort is focused on talking about what you're talking about versus observing what's going on in the reaction you have. Once it's memorized, you can pick up voice inflection. You can pick up things in the background. You can pick up things they say. You can pick up fear. You can pick up hesitation. You can pick up self-esteem issues by what they say. But you're not even listening to it because you're too busy trying to get out what you're doing, because instead of actually memorizing what you're doing and presenting all the time, you're playing fucking video games, you're watching TV, you're watching the same movie that's not getting you anywhere, you're, watching things you shouldn't, you're spending way too much time doing stuff that's non-productive. And you are memorizing stuff, right? Anything you do repeatedly, you're memorizing. That's how people play video games. It's the most addictive thing in the world, by the way. You're trying to memorize the board so that way you move a certain way, dodge, duck, under, up, over, don't get shot, those kind of things. That's what video games are about, and it puts you in that intense state, and you're like, oh, I have to get to the next level. I know, because I've played all those games. But what I finally realized is, hey, I'm addicted to these, and these are super addictive. They're broke machines. They keep you broke. They keep you stuck in front of a television set, and only long enough to sleep, go back to work to do it over again. The number one thing that will help you absolutely explode your income is fucking sell your TV. Get rid of it. Like, until you make 6 figures, don't have a TV. Mm-hmm. What the hell are you using it for? All you're using it to do is distract yourself. Distract yourself from your actual life. When you have to focus on your actual life, be like, look around. Be like, do I want to live like this? No. But when you have that TV on, you never fucking look around. Mm-hmm. So, we've gone too long. That is a wrap. That's what we got for today. Anything else?
So, the next book that we are going to be going over is The Unfair Advantage, The Power of Financial Education by Robert Kiyosaki. So this is what we're going to be starting on Monday. I've been wanting to go over this book for a while. I've read a couple of his books, but this was one of them that I really wanted to read. So if you guys haven't yet, you want to go to the Top Producer Show Facebook page and you want to join that page, because after each chapter we're going to upload our notes. So if you guys would like those, you can get them from there. Also, go follow us on YouTube because each one of these videos is going to be downloaded to there. And if you'd like to go back to the video and rewatch it, take your own notes, you're more than welcome to do so. So with that, that's what we have for you guys today, and we will see you on Monday.